come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hello, welcome to the People's Weekly on People's Radio United. I'm Tim. I'm here with Canadian Glenn, Nolan Hack, and Steve Shagwell. How's everybody today?
Good after that beat. I like that.
You said what?
I'm good. I'm good after that beat that you dropped. That was nice. It was a nice intro.
Yeah, it's the same song we always use. I think I did good.
I heard it.
I think I had a cool radio voice bringing everybody in, so I think it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what's everybody working on? Let's start with whoever wants to go first.
That would be me. We don't usually get to hear the intro. We just sit here until.
Wait, did you guys all hear it?
Yeah.
Yep.
That must be some new Spreaker thing, because I didn't do anything different than I always do. Did you hear it loud and clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Oh my goodness, now I can play audio in these and the guests can hear it. That's... Wow. Thank you, Spreaker. You're actually doing something. When we get separate logins for shows, you'll really be doing something.
Okay, but you have to remember that also probably means that when you're playing audio, you can't talk in the background.
Yeah, I still have the auto ducking button. I can talk in it.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Anyway.
Yeah, because we were muted before it came in.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, Spreaker's stepping up, I guess.
They sound like they're into the 2010s.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Now, Spreaker's a great company. Everybody go and get a podcast on Spreaker if you're not with People's Radio United. Okay, now Spreaker's going to give us how many years free for that promo?
They'll give you half a show.
I take it all back. Don't use Spreaker. There's better companies out there. All right. What?
I was going to say, how did I get included in a free promo for Spreaker? What the fuck's going on here? That's not cool, man. You
Capitalism
can't just
always wins.
Yeah,
always
but
wins.
I'm looking at it from a capitalist point of view. You're giving away my image here. What the fuck's going on? This ain't the NCAA, man. What are you doing?
This is how I exploit you, Glenn. Shameless.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be talking about what's going on, and we're on Spreaker promo. What's up with the view up here on BTR?
Yeah, on basically 1990s talk radio. I had another technical fuck up. The first time this one's ever happened to me in 4 years on BTR. There's always a new glitch to impress you. Had a good show this last Wednesday. Had Stanley Cohen on once more. That's always fun. And otherwise, just keep going. Whatever is breaking in the Canadian federal scene. Last week with Stanley was a bit of a departure because it was a USA episode, which hardly ever happens for some reason on my show.
Well, you're Canadian Glenn, and the view up here, not the view in the middle.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll talk about stuff in Europe or wherever. It's just I don't really like to talk about stuff in the U.S., I guess.
It's very depressing. I don't like talking about it.
I don't like living it.
Well, we're always told to leave, so, maybe we should take them up on that.
You know what? I did once. I said all the white supremacists who want me to leave the country start a GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get $1, man. Not even a dollar to show like, yeah, screw you, get out of here. Not even one. They don't put
it was a black dude who did that. And
not
it was
one
genius.
of them. Not
they
one
kept
of them.
saying, "Go back to Africa." I mean, we get that all the time. Go back to Africa. But he made a GoFundMe, and he got a bunch of cash to go back to Africa.
Wow. I told them to make it, so that's probably why it didn't work out. I never thought I should have done it myself. Duh. Yeah, I'm not the best business person. Actually, I'm not even. I'm the worst business person is a better business person than me. Trump's a better business person than me.
Okay, slow down.
Yeah, that's five. Is it 5, 6 bankruptcies? I don't know.
That's my point. Yeah, I'm horrible. It's hard for me to deal with the business end of anything.
Well, I'm just curious here. I mean, Steve's back this week, and I heard he may have a new show called Your Thing Sucks.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I mean, everybody has a thing, There's always a thing I can talk shit on.
And some things
So
suck and some things don't suck. It's just the way things are.
no. On your band sucks, every band sucks. Therefore, on your thing sucks, everything sucks.
Yeah.
See, now that concept I
That
like.
sounded metal as fuck.
Yeah, I like that concept. Everything sucks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm down
Or I
with
could
that.
just call it America 2018.
Forget the 2018. Just call it America.
Yeah, there's that too.
Still America 2018.
96 hashtags for one tweet on that one.
You know that.
That's right.
You know. There's an internet of things, so things have their own internet.
Let's hack them. Oh, yeah, it's been done.
Hack all the things.
See?
Absolutely.
This is
Shout
the
out to
universal
Ricky
concept.
Vaughn. Ricky Vaughn. Shout out to Ricky Vaughn.
What's his real name? Why say Ricky Vaughn anymore? We know who he is.
Douglas something.
Douglas Nazi
Douglas
Schmeisser.
MacArthur III.
No,
Just an educated guess.
no, it's some real wannabe Ivy League name. Douglas
Stanthorpe.
Wiley or something.
Yeah,
I've not even heard of this jackwagon, but I can just tell from the name it's a jackwagon.
At alt-white troll just caused a lot of trouble.
Ricky Vaughn was his online name. He had a picture of the actor with the "Make America
Charlie Sheen, yeah.
Make America
In
Racist
HD.
Again" hat, and then he was a terrible alt-right troll. He trolled the families of people killed by police. He trolled everything. He's just some Nazi racist scum. He's on podcasts with Richard Spencer and them, and his own people doxed
I
him.
was right. He's a jackwagon.
That's the funny thing. His own people doxed him. It wasn't anyone we might know or even
What?
be affiliated with. Yeah, his own people. They're fighting. The Nazis are fighting amongst themselves, which is beautiful. I hope they take it to the street level and start like just mowing each other's down with guns, like some Nazis going to other Nazi parties and just killing each other. That would be save everybody the hassle of having to have more mass shootings and killings by these jackasses. Just kill
I'm going
each other.
to, Tim, I understand why you think that would be a good thing and is a good idea in theory, but it's not actually a good idea because the fact of the matter is inbred people can't shoot straight, and consequently, there's going to be collateral damage and innocent bystander casualties.
Hey, it happens every day, man. But if you're eliminating
You know.
a whole bunch of Nazis with it, I think it's worth it. I
Look at all these teachers.
I would take another.
Gun with webbed fingers anyway.
Hey, I'd survive another bullet shot or two if it meant 12 or 15 dead Nazis. Really, I'm not even lying.
Well, look
So-
at all these teachers who are accidentally shooting guns off after the right was saying, we got to arm teachers now. That'll fix the problem. Just fight fire with gasoline. Guns for guns. So yeah.
I think what you
NYPD's accuracy rate in live fire situations is 13%.
Holy hell.
Tell me how teachers firing a gun in a classroom full of kids is going to be a good idea.
Jeez.
it is to Wayne LaPierre. That's all that matters.
That also is a jackwagon name.
Okay, wait. Here, I'm realizing something here. We've been on a 9-minute tangent about things, about all sorts of things. So hang on. This is gonna fit in. Our tangents came full circle into number 3. A woman walked into YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California with a pistol and shot 3 people before killing herself. The shooter was not a white male, so their NRA is blaming everything from YouTube cutting monetization to mental illness. Anything but guns.
Man,
yeah,
that's one hell of a thing right there.
yeah. But no, I'm saying it brings it right back to this now. So let's continue.
Yeah.
We can knock a topic off and keep on the tangent at the same time, and it's relevant.
It just kind of brought us into this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Enough with the things.
Well,
I can't. I'm
just,
trying.
I mean, just the concept of someone in their 20s who, despite being a visible minority, a religious minority, whatever, is still able-bodied and in that environment. You know, they have a legitimate chance to get somewhere. And this person's source of income was videos on YouTube. This is what it's come to. This is a fucking career for people.
It is. It
At
was.
that,
It was for a lot of people.
yeah, I know. I mean, the viral people, the people that the masses select, is no different than American Idol. It's just on a website. It's the same goddamn thing. But for these people to think that they can be in their 20s and start doing this, and this is what they're going to do to make a living indefinitely, that does sound like a mental problem to me. Like, get real.
I mean, I think a lot of people on YouTube have regular jobs too, but the YouTube is extra source of income for a lot of people.
That I can understand, but like
But
the
some,
shooter, or you wouldn't pay for my videos, now I'm broke. Fuck you.
yeah, it was like a workplace thing. It's still terrorism. I mean, when you go and shoot up a bunch of people, they're in terror. Therefore, it's terrorism in my mind. I know that's not technically, legitimately proper way to look at it, but whatever. But no, I
Well,
mean,
that depends. That depends. If you look at the Oxford Dictionary, it is terrorism.
okay, well, there
Is
you go.
anything to cause a change in political or economic or social conditions is terrorism.
That's true, and that was economic. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, you know what? I got an email from YouTube just today, and this is what they're doing. They're really just screwing a lot of people over. Like, I'm looking at it as a great thing for us because I don't have to worry about it. I was trying to monetize so People's Radio would pay for itself a while back, but then they have more control over what you can put out and how your stuff goes like that. I can't find this email, darn it. But I kind of like not being monetized. But now they're saying a lot of this is basically saying a lot of people, what Glenn was like relevant to what Glenn's saying in my mind. A lot of people who are depending on YouTube for some source of income are now probably going homeless. It says trending, just the essentials. There's a rise of creators that are embracing the minimalist lifestyle, living the van life. Take a trip with them and get inspired by how they're uploading while downsizing. So
Oh my
basically,
God.
so after we screwed all this is an email sent to me by YouTube and the High People's Radio. Ever heard the expression less is more? Well, there's a trend on the rise. Creators living on the road, getting inspired by how they're uploading while downsizing. That's just ridiculous, man. It's basically saying we screwed all the people over for these advertisers, which are a lot of them on YouTube are the NRA, a lot of different gun manufacturer companies, really Prager University, the alt-right little think tank, quote unquote, Scientology, Mormonism, just crazy, crazy stuff that is just the worst kind of advertising you could have is on YouTube. And then they got all the standard corporate advertising too. But these are the people they sold out all their creators or people for. And people are angry. And I was angry for a long time over the censorship. And I've said many times I need to go because their headquarters in LA is not very far from me at all. I used to go over there and take classes and stuff a long time ago. So the thing is, I said I need to walk in there with a camera and just go corner some of the people in charge and ask them questions about censorship. And this is during Serena Shin time and all that. But then I said, oh, probably they'll call the police and arrest me. But yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering. She has a channel on YouTube. There's Daily Motion. There's all these other things she could monetize and keep the stuff going. Why not go in there with the camera and just shame them and make that video go viral on another platform rather than going and trying to kill people and ending up killing yourself over some dumb stuff, man. I never get this mentality.
Well, I would, in my opinion, let's keep this legally correct. In my opinion, I think the choice she made to kill herself proves mental illness because there was no exchange of gunfire with law enforcement. I think that was part of the plan. I think that's what I get out of it. But what are you going to do about that, really, in a country that has no mental health system?
That's true, but who's going to shoot up anybody that's not mentally ill like that? I mean, there's things over money or this or that, at some levels. But I mean, these people just walking in random stuff and shooting up stuff or getting so angry that their significant other left them, they want to go kill everybody and just shoot up a building and, or anything, or these Nazis or these religious zealots or whatever. All these people, there's got to be something mentally wrong with them if they're killing anyone already. So I don't see mental illness as not being a factor. If you get mad enough and just want to pull out a gun and start blowing people away for talking crap to you,
that's true.
You're mentally ill for the moment in some kind of way. You're not, you know what I mean? That's not a normal thing to want to do.
Yeah, but I mean, that whole side of the gun argument in the U.S., as, people point to Canada and the United Kingdom and Japan and everywhere else, when people do get pissed off and they'd like to pick up a gun and go kill somebody, they probably can't get their hands on one at that point in time.
But guns.
Well, let's remember also that the cops here,
yes,
they were warned that she was having problems, and she actually was reported missing, and the cops kind of just brushed it off, as they so often do. So they had a warning, like, hey, she's in some trouble. She may do something. She may get herself into trouble, what have you. And they just
They supposedly talked to her and said there was no threat because I think she was missing and they found her like an hour or two before, about 30 miles away from YouTube.
Yeah, that they did. Then they contacted the family, let her know that
she
had been found.
I don't usually defend police at all, but in this case, like, she's a non-white woman sleeping in her car, you know what I mean? That could have turned really ugly and she could have been killed by the police. And then some people say, oh, well, then those other 3 people wouldn't be dead. But no, I mean, it's just a weird situation. I don't, any which way you look at it. So I'm glad they didn't escalate it. But at the same time, how do you really know? If someone says I'm fine and looks fine and normal.
Well, her brother said to police, she went all the way from San Diego, so she might do something. She went all the way from San Diego, so she might do something. That's her brother talking to the cops.
Oh, I thought they just said she got upset with YouTube and took off. I didn't know they said she might do something. But, like, I don't know. Why not just go in with the camera? If you already have this many followers and people, go with the camera and then say my new video is on Daily Motion and monetize that. Yeah, you got to build it up. It sucks. But
some people don't have restraint or resolve. Some people break easier than others. And I'm not going to say this epidemic, if you want to call it that, is a mental illness problem. It is a gun problem. It is an overload, influx, like crazy gun problem. But
here's
yes,
another
some
thing.
people
just think she had a pistol. What if she had an assault rifle? Imagine how much more damage possibly could have been done.
Of course.
And these people need to think the guns don't kill people. People kill people. Yeah, people kill people, and you could say knives don't kill people, and cars don't kill people, and bombs don't kill people. People kill people. But the thing is, say you're in a shopping mall with your family. Would you rather someone come in with a big assault rifle, maybe even modified to be fully auto? Or would you rather somebody attack with a car or a knife, or you know what I mean, or whatever? I don't think anyone would say, "Oh, I'd rather them come in with the assault rifle." I think any other option is better than that. Maybe the bomb might be worse, but bombs aren't
I have
legal.
a
People can't buy bombs.
I have a take on this that might be a little bit odd, but there's a lot of talk around guns right now, and banning assault rifles. And I totally get that, because these assault rifles, these AR-15s, are very efficient killing machines. They are.
All of them. That's just the famous one they talk about.
They don't have the punching power of a deer rifle, a normal deer rifle, and a lot of people are holding that up as an argument, and they're right. They don't. What they don't understand is that's what makes these guns more deadly. Instead of going through, they bounce around inside and they fragment. So, a trauma surgeon, I was reading a thing by a trauma surgeon. He said he's never been able to save somebody that was brought in that was shot center mass with one of those things. But he saved lots of he saved lots of lives of people who've been shot with handguns. So I totally get it. I get the idea that maybe we should ban these assault rifles. I don't think, though, that's the answer. I think, now this is the irony of ironies, right? The right wing is really into defending gun rights. The right wing is really a big part of the problem. These a big part of the reason this problem with mass shootings exists. You have this very toxic masculinity. You have this very toxic nationalism. You have this very toxic machismo going on in that culture. And what you have is people start getting the idea that the answer to everything is a bullet. Why wouldn't they? When people are posting memes about how many liberals white Jesus would want them to kill, and shit like this. So you have that going on, and the other thing that happens is it doesn't just stay in that group. I said when Donald Trump popped on the scene, oh, the right is going to get ugly. And everybody agreed with me. I also said the left is going to get ugly. The left is going to get militant. The left is going to get angry. You're going to see more immature behavior. You're going to see more, pointless insults. And all these things happen because a toxic culture, the toxicity kind of spreads out from that toxic culture and people react to it. So now in this case, a lot of these shooters have been white, male, Christian, right wing. This one wasn't. She was pretty much the exact opposite of that. But I've been saying all along, eventually we're going to see people outside that demographic do it because it's starting there. But, that toxicity will spread through the rest of society. Like, the real problem here is this toxic right-wing bullshit going on. And I get conservative thought. I get that whole idea. I like a lot of things about conservatism that aren't being done in America. The conservatism we see rising in America is so goddamn toxic. And if that's where it's coming from. And that's what needs to be addressed. But the ironic thing is the people who most want to keep AR-15s legal and available are the people causing the mass shootings with AR-15s syndrome.
And those selling them.
Well, I mean, I certainly understand the picture you painted, Steve. It reminded me of a couple situations. It reminded me of what the U.S. created in Iraq. There were groups that were, basically benign. It's like, okay, well, Saddam's gone. Americans are here. Okay, well, let's see what happens. And then All they did is everything they possibly could to completely turn their entire society upside down. And then say, okay, we're out of here. Of course, there's a huge vacuum. And, people from every part of the Iraqi society suddenly were no longer behaving like they had for the previous 50 years. And I see the same thing capable of happening in the U.S. I completely agree when you say people who are in certain sects or groups on the left, the time will come where you have to acknowledge the playing field you're on. And if you're going to stay in the game, you're going to have to go with the flow.
Well, I like to say that I think one thing within this society that people have a really difficult time doing is multitasking. Now, the alt-white, the alt-right, whatever you want to call them, they're awful. They're polluting an already very toxic country. They need to be dealt with. They need to be the problems they are causing need to be acknowledged. Now, that being said, AR-15s, assault rifles, they need to be banned at the same time. Look at Australia. They banned them 20 years ago. They haven't had a mass shooting since. I mean, that's very simplistic. Like, oh wow, okay, well, it's not a problem anymore. Take them away, and there goes the problem. So, taking care of multiple problems, I think, is a lost art in this society. And I think, to what Steve said, I agree with a lot of that in terms of how toxic the alt-white is. But at the same time, no civilian should have a assault rifle. No cop should have an assault rifle. I mean, in my mind, those things should only be used in, I guess, warfare. And I don't even like it when they are used in warfare.
Yeah, warfare should be, at least in my opinion, if someone invades your country or does something heinous to your people, not just because we want to go and change out their government or, kill the dark people so the white people can be happy or steal their resources or whatever it is. Like, we don't have any wars that I think are worth fighting. So that's just what I think.
We've talked about guns before, and of course, Nolan, I do disagree with you on the whole thing of controlling AR-15s. That having been said, I do understand why you feel that way. With me, I look at the government and I hate the government. I don't trust the government. I don't want them having things I can't have. I want an Apache helicopter because they have it. I want drones because they have it. Because I don't trust them. But there's a problem with that. There is a problem with that, and I'm going to acknowledge Nolan here on this one. Most of the people who are interested in taking up arms against the government, quote unquote, are the people deep-throating the president's boot right now. So they're not going to rise up when the government does unconstitutional shit. And that's the people who are craziest about guns, and those are the people who are arming up against the government. I don't understand their cognitive dissonance. You need to respect the government that I'm stockpiling arms against, or whatever the fuck is going on in their heads. But that's those people. That's what they're doing. And not only that, but those people, like, the government has been pulling shit for a long time. And these people have never stood up and drew a line in the sand. That's right. Now, the caveat to that, why I still hang on to this idea is because, and this is why I'm a big fan of that guy who's arming black communities now. He's working to arm black communities, is because when you look at the Bundy Ranch standoff, now, they those armed people held off the federal agents long enough so that when they went into court, they were still in possession of the land. And that definitely made it easier for them to get things upheld in court.
Steve,
So,
just real quick,
you know,
just
yeah.
just real quick. The Bundy Ranch was a bunch of white guys holding guns to the police and shaking hands. If a bunch of militant black cats or Latino cats did that stuff, you know how fast they'd be slaughtered and have military coming in to
And
say,
we did.
yeah,
We have.
I'm just saying it's not going to be the same outcome. They're not going to be able to hold the land. They're going to get slaughtered, or they're going to have to go to war, and they're going to get imprisoned. I'm just giving you a heads up on that one.
They're definitely going to have a harder time with that. But I don't know. I want people armed because I really like, I'm here because I hate the government and because I don't trust the government, and yeah, maybe I can't stand against the full might of the US military, but I would rather go down fighting and take as many of them as I can than go out like a bitch.
Yeah, but with your AR-15, even modded out, dude, the stuff they got, you wouldn't stand a chance. I don't think people understand what the military is coming with, what these police departments are getting from the military, the surplus coming. I really don't think these people, we, like you said, we don't have Apache helicopters, we don't have jets, we don't have drones with warheads, we don't have anything they have, man. They can destroy a city with chemicals. You see what I'm saying?
And that is you're right. I admitted that even, that fact. I have another reason for wanting to be armed, and that's because, there's different scenarios everywhere in the country. Like here now, we're getting into earthquake scenarios because of the fracking being done in Oklahoma. We also have, due to how windy it is here, there's disasters that can happen that way. I mean, there are times when there's no infrastructure and there's no, you can't call a cop, and why would you want to anyway? But
earthquakes don't. Guns can't stop earthquakes. We have them here. We had one yesterday. We had big ones here.
No, but in the aftermath, when nobody's obeying the law.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, man. People just go and
nice
rob. People just go and take stuff from stores they need. It's not like they're all hunting and killing each other, man. It doesn't. Usually, in times like that, most people are helping each other, and the problem is trying to get the food and supplies that the stores lock up because they don't want you to take it. So that's where the breaking into stuff. People band together. Most humans, our species does pretty good in emergencies a lot of times as far as communities go. I mean, I've seen it.
I used to believe in people like that, and I don't believe in people anymore. Another thing is here in America, it's a much different, much more toxic, much more hateful culture than in other parts of the world. So, I don't trust my fellow American, which is a strong case for disarming everybody. I'm in some ways I'm more afraid of my fellow American than I am of the government. But, I have a third reason I like to be armed, and that's because I don't call the police. And if I'm not going to call the police when a home invasion is going down.
Okay, but why do you need a assault rifle? Why can't you just have a pistol or a shotgun? I mean, if you're at home, a shotgun's the best thing to have. Close range, boom, boom, boom. It's not going to go and kill your neighbors accidentally or anything. I don't understand why you're arguing for assault rifles. There's no reason other than to slaughter a bunch of people where you need one.
It depends on.
I don't have any problem with guns. People get mad at me because I like people having guns. I like the citizens to be armed. But there's some points where it's like, this is just like, why would I need this or anybody else if you're not planning on just going to war? That's my thing.
Well, let's think of two examples here for my folks. Black people in Georgia, about 38 years ago, we occupied land that was rightfully ours. And we were forcibly removed forcibly removed. Now, there was no, big old standoff like there was with the Bundy people. And another example is the bombing in Philadelphia about 30 years ago. And they literally bombed us. Literally bombed us.
Yeah.
So while I do understand and will defend Black folks, indigenous folks, especially for arming themselves, because calling the police is a very risky option when something happens to us. So being armed would not be a bad idea for either of us. But at the same time, like Tim was saying, we don't need assault rifles, especially because there's been experiments done with this, and then just common sense of if you know how law enforcement act in this country. If there's a Black person with an assault rifle in public, he may be in trouble very quickly. If the government knows that we have an assault rifle registered to us, that puts an even bigger target on our back. So I think, at least from our standpoint, we need to be level-headed about it. There's Huey P. Newton gun clubs coming up around the country, especially the South, which is I have no problem with. But I think we just need to be level-headed about it, because one, those assault rifles, they're just a risky proposition in 100 different ways, and I think we should understand that assault rifles themselves, being open to the public, causes more problems than good. I think if we fight more to get rid of assault rifles while still arming ourselves and teaching each other how to properly use a weapon, safety, gun safety, all that. Because you look at the big picture with assault rifles and mass shootings, almost every time it is a white man. Almost every time. And now you're in this alt-white territory, 2018. There's church militias in the South. Cops and sheriffs, neo-Nazis, Klansmen, all over the country, even in Los Angeles. So we just need to be level-headed about that, in my mind. And I'll look at Australia. They banned them, and they haven't had a mass shooting since.
Yeah, well, let's just think of if you gave guns the same restrictions you give cars, that would go a long way. You have to re-register every year. You have to be evaluated somehow and get a license that expires.
Even alcohol.
Yeah, I mean everything is like that, but things that can kill people is no. I mean, why not get it? You have to have insurance. You'd have a lot more people dealing with stuff.
Now you're talking about some common sense regulations. You're not talking about getting rid of AR-15s.
Well,
I'm saying
that makes sense.
I still don't think people need assault rifles, but the current state, I would say, like if everyone else has an assault rifle, then some people would need them, because what if you're a Black dude living in the South or a Latino dude and all your neighbors are white? We know these people kill their neighbors because they want to keep their neighborhoods like they are. Like, you need to protect yourself from what they have, but if they ban them, and it should be illegal to modify your guns. It should be like a car. You have to get them inspected. So if you do mod them, you better have something that comes off quick. That's why and then they can say, why are you adding these parts? Why does it look like something was added here? They should have inspectors. It should be just like the DMV. People should have to wait in line all day to register and keep their guns.
Gee, that sounds like Canada, Tim.
Oh, is that how it is there? Yeah, that would make sense. It just makes perfect sense. Like, Cars kill
Well,
people, so you regulate them. Guns kill people, so why not regulate them the same way? You're not taking anything from anybody. If you really want it, you're going to go through this stuff. If you don't want to go through that, and if it takes too long, then what were you trying to do with it anyway? That you couldn't, go through the process.
Right.
the best thing I heard regarding assault weapons, quote unquote, I can't remember the dude's name, but I know he was a veteran in the U.S. Army, retired a major. And he said, you just got to look at the progression, because it started with the MP-44 at the end of World War II with the Germans. Then the Soviets made the AK-47. When the Americans got to Southeast Asia, they needed a light, high delivery rate weapon for close, indiscriminate combat. And that gave us the M16 and now the M4. The AR-15 is the same mindset. And what that guy said was they would take these kids who were there because they joined the army. No other reason, no testing, no screening, no nothing. What weapon system do you give them so they can kill as many enemy with the least amount of instruction or supervision? You give them an assault rifle. And I think when you look at it in that concept, these weapons do not need to be readily accessible at the society level.
Yeah, my Glock here? You can take this gun and get another, the top head slider part with the barrel and all that, and it makes it fully auto, 100%. It'll rat. But those are highly illegal, so most people don't have them. At least here it is. I know in other states they do have them. But why do you need that? First of all, it's not accurate anymore because you're holding a pistol that's going to fly up. So what you're going to hit is not going to be what you're aiming at unless you're aiming way down. You know what I mean? It just seems really like a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it is.
And like, why do people need that? To make YouTube videos and look cool? I don't know, but I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. Or to get or to spray up a room. You know what I mean? That's the only reasons I can see that. And that's on a pistol.
I don't see any use.
The pistol's fine, but adding all those mods on it, that's where it becomes a really, really dangerous thing.
Well,
you get one of those giant clips that can just keep going with like 200 rounds. It might jam, but who cares? How many went off before it jammed?
Okay, well, let me just say this then about what you just said. I've handled weapons before. I've owned weapons before. I don't have a problem with responsible firearm usage. But from my point of view, if we're talking about my residence or my person, at the absolute most, I would like a solid semi-automatic pistol. And if that ain't enough, then, oh well, I lose.
And I think you hit on something there. You said you're for responsible gun ownership, and that's a big part of the problem right now in America is we have very irresponsible gun ownership. There's just this toxic machismo attached to gun ownership here in America, which is just idiotic. People who think their gun makes their dick bigger or some shit.
Yeah.
And they're ruining it for people like me, and it's pissing me the fuck off. I got into it with one of these Kekistan jackwagons on Twitter this week, and he was like, well, you seem pretty partisan because you're always ragging on the right. Well, yeah, I am ragging on the right a lot because the right is fucking up so much shit for me right now.
I don't know
like
if they
are. Like, we can't have anything nice because of the right. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry, just side tangent.
We like to blame
things.
We like to blame both sides here, as the president says. Both sides are equally guilty. The right sucks, but the left is enabling the right at the very least.
Yeah, but
What I think is they're pretty much exactly the same with a different facade. It's like
you know,
racism with the smile or racism, fascism with we love you or fascism with the we hate you. That's the only difference.
the whole thing of ruining gun ownership is like one of the reasons why I just hate, I hate both the right and the left, but I hate the right more. And that's one of the reasons why. And maybe on another podcast, I'll get into the big reason why I hate the right more than the left. But,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
not.
that jackwagon was right. I do hate the right more than the left when I sit and think about it. And I have a good reason to.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the people, I'm talking about like the Democrats and Republican parties. But yeah, as far as the people, one of these activists I interviewed, I can't remember his name. Oh, his name was Samurai Steve, actually. So that's funny. He's on a YouTube video I had. He said it perfect. He said like these cats over here pointing to the Trump people, said they're hopeless, they're racist, whatever. Then he said with the Democrats, the Hillary people, maybe they're trying, they're just confused and don't know any better. Maybe we could pull some of them, and not all of them are useless. But the Trump people, he said they're pretty useless because you're voting for the most worst stuff. The other people are maybe being duped more. I think that was his philosophy on it, and I kind of agree in a way.
There is something to that, you know. Um, no doubt about it.
I think it's a predisposition. Just like they say there's a predisposition for alcoholism or, other things like that, diseases. I think there's a predisposition that some people just have to basically buying snake oil.
Yeah. Hey, we need
Some
to switch.
people are just, they're more gullible. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, we need to switch topics soon. We've been on this since the thing was over.
Yeah, we need a new thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Next thing.
Next thing. Oh, you know what? The next thing is, oddly enough, everyone's talking about it now, but Steve and you too, Glenn, both of you guys brought it up months and months ago. You guys were talking about this. So, yeah, now it's like mainstream media news. So we were bringing it to people a long time ago. It's Sinclair Media has become state propaganda. This is nothing new, but the people are just starting to hear about it since they called other media. Oh, people are just starting to hear about it since they called other media fake news while spreading fake news themselves. What can we, the people, do to combat this? I'm a horrible writer. If you can't read your own sentence,
Was that your monologue?
yeah, if you can't read your own sentence, something's wrong.
I'll show you how effed up this whole thing is with them. Their stock price is up.
Yep.
Their stock price is actually up. It's at $29.95.
Yeah, but the reason for that is because the people who buy and sell their stock could give a fuck about what they're saying on the air. All they see is they have a lot more market penetration. That's it.
There you go.
And they got government backing. That seems like a safe bet all the way around.
Oh yeah. And I watched it. I never watched this network. I just watched the clip because it was a part of a article I was reading. And was it Morning Joe Scarborough, whatever his name is? Yeah. And he sounded so outraged. And his co-host, the white lady, whatever her name is, Mika. Okay,
They talk
Mika.
over each other like I'm doing to Nolan right now. That's their whole show. They just talk over each other. I can't stand it. It's like, who am I supposed to be listening to? And it drives me insane. That's all I want to say. Go ahead.
Let's just call her Becky. Okay. So Joe and Becky have a show, and it's morning show. And they were so outraged. Oh, the Sinclair group, that they're controlling the media, they're censoring important things, they're getting their anchors across the country to say what they want them to say. And I'm just looking at them like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Y'all are part of this. I mean, there's been a horrible catastrophe in Yemen for years that you guys are allergic to cover. Yet you're talking about, oh, I'm so outraged. I'm outraged. fake white outrage
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah. This has been going on a long time. Go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Well,
It's
this
not
is
a Trump thing. Go ahead. But Trump signed some more deals with Kushner, but it's not. It's been going on long before him.
of
But
course.
go ahead. Sorry, Glenn.
well, the reason that Mika and Joe will be outraged is because their directive comes from network, and Sinclair has done the end around. It's to the point now where the networks can no longer control overall direction. When you have somebody at the next level down that owns all of your stations on your network in the biggest markets, you're no longer in control. That's what NBC's pissed off about. Not that it's happening. They just want it to be them. That's all.
And might I add, we're in this situation because people figured out that, CNN and Fox and MSNBC and shit are fake news. Yes, they are fake news. But this being America, the land of the supposedly free and the home of the window lickers, we have a situation where once we figure out something's bad, this fucking country runs right into the arms of something worse and says, save me from that bad thing. And that something worse says, oh yeah, I'll save you, baby. I'm not like the others. Come here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be an evil, smiling Democrat that's going to come in and just destroy this thing if Trump doesn't do it first, because they're going to look at this guy as a savior, whoever it is.
Well, yeah. At this point, Charles Manson could resurrect and run for president, and he might damn well win.
Yeah, but I'm saying whoever it is, all they got to do is act nice and do the Obama or the Bush or the Clinton or whatever, and smile a lot, and maybe not the Bush.
I think basically from that standpoint, be the anti-Hillary if you're the Democrat. Just say the nicest things possible. Try to make sure you don't have any loose ends that can be exposed. They all do, but I mean, nothing like hers, obviously. Just say, be very nice and quiet. Don't try to do anything. Don't, let alone try to do too much, because you're up against Trump. So come on. That's why Hillary losing was so spectacular. It was like, you couldn't beat him because it's her.
Yeah, but I'm just saying these people are going to look at whoever Democrat comes as their savior, and that person, like all these Democrats, do damage just like the Republicans, but they don't get as much flack for it. Like Obama, he did so many horrible, terrible, despicable things, but everyone's like, he's black, we hate him because he wasn't born here, quote unquote. He was black. All these made up conspiracy theories and reasons that just came down to him being a black guy. When you could have been disgusted by this evil man for so many other reasons, but see how he looked so amazing.
Assassinated forced U.S. citizens with drone strikes.
Yeah,
started a covert drone war in Yemen. Escalated proxy war in Somalia. Escalated the CIA drone war in Pakistan. Sharply escalated the war in Afghanistan. And by the way, this is this great site. I'm getting this from St. Pete for Peace.org, stpeteforpeace.org, Obama fact sheet. Beautiful. I'll link it on Twitter.
But what I'm saying is, someone like that who has a nice looking family and doesn't have all these porn stars and an ex-hooker as a wife and all this other stuff, they could be fooled and they could do the most evil stuff and the people will still support them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
it's not going to get. It doesn't get better, is what I'm saying. You went from Bush to Obama to Trump, and then whoever's next, whatever their optics are, they're going to do even more damage. They're going to keep pushing the war machine, the capitalist regime forward, and it might be in a way that these people accept, and that's what scares me.
Well, it's like Iraq, even though that was from the right. Most Americans are like, oh, geez, they have weapons of mass destruction. Let's go over there.
Well,
Gotcha.
if you want to talk about the imperialistic, kept from public view records of American presidents, every one of them since Truman is guilty of the same thing.
Mm.
The only difference is what image could they sell to the domestic audience? That's why guys like Clinton and Obama are reminisced about as being what supposedly are good human beings. Well, when you look at the reality of their actions, ain't too much that's all that human about either of them. Obama with his covert wars and technology, Clinton with unleashing the absolute corporate fascism that we have today. But yet these are great presidents, but they don't appear like Nixon or like Trump.
Yeah,
That's that's it.
I had to break a lot of black people's hearts, telling them Obama's scum. Look at me like I'm crazy. Then I explain it, and they start to think. Some people say, "No, that's not true," but it is true. But then the other ones be like, "Dang, I never thought of that. That's sick."
But think about how much worse Obama could have made the world. He didn't have to make a deal with Iran. He didn't have to resist attacking North Korea, but he did. So it still could have been worse.
Yeah, I mean everything could be worse, but yeah, okay. You can focus on the good things or the bad things, and see what outweighs what. I think you know what I mean. There's a lot of
I
dead.
think
There's a lot of dead people around the world because of Obama and Bush and Clinton and now Trump.
well, of
I
course, and
mean,
there's
they could have all made it much worse. I mean, George Washington could have made it much worse. He could have had all his slaves killed when he died.
yeah.
Jackson could have killed a couple million more Native people. Nixon could have thrown every black person in jail on some bogus drug charges. Yeah, I mean, so all of them could be worse. But the point that I think everybody's making here is that there's no such thing as a good U.S. president. They're all upholding white supremacy. They're all upholding capitalism, imperialism, and just a straight out oppression.
I think that's the job description.
Yeah.
Basically.
And by those things that we deem to be the description, this one should be thrown out because he can't deliver. He can't even do what's right for the Rothschilds, He's just an idiot.
He can't even keep his racist base happy.
I can't believe what's going on with China and this trade war. Is he insane?
Yes, he is. And he's going to meet with another madman. So you're going to have him and Kim Jong-un in the same room, maybe. That's going to be insane. They might just unite and join forces to destroy the world, or attempt to.
I don't understand how Trump cannot understand that if a really pissed off China could cripple the United States economically.
Certainly know that.
He doesn't understand anything. He didn't even know how many countries there were. Who knew there were this many countries? The other day he did a speech where he's like, trillions. No one's ever heard that word before.
Oh my God.
Trillions. You know what? Let's segue this. He's also sending National Guards to the border to stop what he calls an immigration explosion.
Yeah, isn't this another topic?
Yeah, but the facts and statistics all show us illegal immigration has continuously gone down in the United States over the past 5+ years.
I was gonna say, yeah, why? What?
Well, here's the thing. I think there are some Guatemalan immigrants fleeing, and it's 70% women and children, and there's maybe 1,000 of them. But Fox News made it seem like there's
350,000.
Is that what Fox News said?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. So he's report. It literally is like that Saturday Night Live skit where the lady is Fox and Friends, and the lady's like, Hello to all our listeners, especially the ones maybe laying down in the Lincoln bedroom with sausage McMuffins on his or egg McMuffins on his chest. Hello.
Yeah, it's a direct appeal. Oh yeah, the propaganda on that has been unreal. But
He live tweets Fox and Friends, Glenn. He live
I know.
tweets them. He's the
I know.
president.
Well, he's
I know.
the whole thing about a politician needing to be experienced. There is something to that, to a point, because Trump proves that he's a straight out civilian as president. The problem is he's not very intelligent. He's a ridiculous person, obviously, racist, sexist, you name it. And this is your president. So yeah, he's live tweeting shows talking about him, whether they're on the left or the right, for him or against, instead of, I don't know, fixing some problems. A lot of what she's causing.
Trump is not sexist. He loves prostitutes.
That's right. That's
No
right.
comments.
The one thing I want to say about this National Guard to the border thing, as a Canadian, is that as far as my understanding of the U.S. Constitution goes, National Guards are under the command of the governors of the states. That is the whole reason they are there, to protect against the federal government. Now,
Well,
it would take.
That's
Well, no, just
Well,
Go ahead.
that is the case, but I think they already agreed that a lot of these governors are going to go along with it.
okay. Now this is what I've heard for Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, that the governors are welcoming the plan because, gosh darn it, we need some help down there. Well, I'll tell you what, governors, the National Guard is at your beck and call 365. So why is it now suddenly such a welcome idea? It's because you're all sucking Trump's cock.
Midterms.
How did they
Yes,
even find
exactly. Well, the
Just
whole
saying.
thing is there still has to be paperwork. This has to be public. This has to go through somebody for this to happen. And until it happens, it's just more idle, rabble-rousing bullshit. And yes, Tim, I think midterms is the best reason for it. Nothing's going to happen. I think it's more of a distraction from the nowhere wall trying to sneak it into the discretionary military budget. That's why he's trying to
Yeah.
get the National Guard involved.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Midterms are coming. He's got the 2020 elections coming up, and in 2 years, that's like right there. It's going to be done. It's going to be here, and you have his base screaming, "Build that wall! Build that wall!" And then you have people now. I think Ann Coulter was saying he's useless. He's not doing anything he said he was going to do. He needs to be impeached, and she has a lot of his Nazi fan base.
Yep.
She's one of them. So now what he's done is he's tweeted out pictures from like 1990 something saying we just started construction on the wall, and it's pictures of when they were repairing the wall in the 90s.
Yep.
And he's still referring to those pictures, even though they've been debunked and it's been shown as lies. He's still at rallies and people are cheering. And then now he has to say, oh, we're going to fortify it. We're going to put military on the borders. And we're going to kill all of these dirty savages coming across trying to take your jobs and rape your women. And, I'm just quoting what their mentality is. I'm not saying that. But, so he's catering to his base by really doing nothing. And if he sends the guards, it's even better because it make all the news in the world. And no one's even thinking, borders and military generally historically doesn't end well. Walls. Like, where's it
Tell
going
me
to stop?
one wall that actually was. Every wall that was ever built, they said, was to keep bad people out. Show me one that wasn't used instead to keep the people of the country from escaping.
Even their hero, the scum racist Ronald Reagan, was tear down that wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Even a
that was
sick
their wall.
Klan member like him Yeah, that's true, but still,
No, I
walls are
just
never a great thing.
Well, the white people from the one side of the wall and the other side of the wall, they needed to be together. That's why Ronald
true.
cared so much about that wall coming down.
Absolutely. And there were new customers over there. Let's get them over.
Yeah, exactly.
These people don't have KFC in East Berlin. This can't
Oh,
stand.
Mickey D's, let's get it in Moscow. Let's go.
You know,
You know,
I
the one thing, the one thing I wonder about is this is the United States and this is the Southwest. So, okay, I'm sure there's some sort of base for the National Guard Army. What if it's in the north of Arizona and then suddenly 6 or 8 thousand people from that town that's supported by that base all move down to the border for an extended period of time? What kind of problems is that going to cause at the state level? Because you know those people are going to be screaming their fucking heads off.
that's true too. And you also got to say, what are they going to do with the racists and Nazis at the border? Are they going to kick them out and not let them be armed trying to shoot Mexican immigrants? Or are they going to work alongside with them as they probably, as these border patrol agents already do? And, because that's their goal. Like the NSM, they go down to the border regularly. They post pictures online with all their guns, hoping to shoot a Mexican cat crossing the border. It's really a sick thing. So, if you're going to send National Guard, then they need to kick all these whack jobs out. They need to arrest them because, I don't know, do something. That's a horrible thing to do. To
Well, then
volunteer to
that
go sit on a border with guns so you could shoot someone coming in from another country.
if that was to happen, then that would feed into Steve's picture of the degenerating society, because then those guys will be turned back in towards the United States with that kind of hatred and firepower.
They're already here. They go there every weekend, Glenn.
No,
Already.
but I mean, they won't have the weekend anymore to be tough guy and get that out of their system.
Oh, I see. If the guards
Now
kick
they're going
them
to have to
out.
do it in their own neighborhood.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if the guards is going to wave to them and say, "Hey, fellas," and make them feel like they're part of something, even though they're not.
I've really felt all along that Trump's big contribution to the police state was going to be federalizing law enforcement, and I've felt that getting that wall up, and once the south wall is built and the border is completed there, then it's like, well, I know the Canadians aren't dangerous, but we have a wall on the south border, and we really should have one on the north border too. And then we're locked in. And the police departments are federalized and answer to Trump. I think that's kind of been his plan all along, because why else would people, he sucks up to law enforcement, and the way he sucks up to law enforcement, he's got to be planning something. He's got to be planning on he's got to be planning on asking them to do something that is going to take some selling.
No, he just believes in guns and military and all these,
Well, Obama sucked up to them pretty hard too. And he gave them a fortune through his 8 years, more than any other president.
Trump's the
I think
difference. Trump's just not planning
yeah.
on leaving office. That's his goal, and he's clearly stated.
He wants to be czar. Yeah, he wants to be king.
Yeah, he's clearly stated that's his goal. He's working toward that goal, and there's a lot of little things he's doing that either he's just a sheer idiot and doesn't see it, or he's setting it up where there's nobody's gonna be able to stop him from that goal if no one stops him soon. I mean, I listened to it was the other day. It was all these different. It was Young Turks. It was his name Farron Cousins. It was some people on Russia Today. A lot of different videos of this I was watching, and all these different people had said, "This is how something goes on. This is how fascism starts. This is the beginning of fascism. What they don't understand is the seed was planted long, long ago before Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're like at a 6 foot tall tree about to bloom. You know, fascism's already happening. You fight it now, or you're going to fight it when it's in full effect. And it's not going to be pretty either way, but it's going to be much worse. The longer you wait before you shut this down, people, listen to me, the worse it's going to be. Is not, no one's going to save you. No Democrat's going to come in, no other Republican, no third party, Bernie Sanders, kind of whoever.
Please don't run
No,
again, Bernie.
it's not gonna, it's not Camille Harris, whoever, Oprah Winfrey. None of them are gonna save you. You have to band and unite as a people, get out in these streets, millions strong, and shut stuff down until things change. You know, this is insanity.
Well, they just they stopped giving free water to Flint. So you're talking about those ridiculous things that happen in this country, especially to marginalized people and people of color. Yeah, I mean they're going to keep happening either way. The problem with the Trump factor, which is a thing, is that white folks who are semi-reasonable, or reasonable enough to know that Trump is ridiculous, that's their MO. That's all their MO is, to stop Trump. If we stop Trump, everything will be fine again. For you, yeah, okay. But for folks like me, no. It's never been fine. That's what you don't get. So that's why, I mean, it sucks. It's horrible. I hate it. But that's why the movement needs to just look the other way. Like this March for White Lives mess that went on, and the kids have great fire, and they've been through so much. I just wish their message had been twisted and corrupted. But the women's marches, all that stuff, the stopping Trump, not looking at the root of the problem. That's why we have to have blinders on with liberals and Democrats and those weak left-leaning people, because it's a complete waste of time, and we're wasting our own time and our humanity if we try to get them on their side or hear them out, or we have to move forward and keep going with, the system has to go. As extreme as that is, it's the truth. It's the truth. There's a Democrat in Virginia, and he's being called a socialist. He won a 2017 election, and this guy's name is Lee Carter. Now, how in the hell are you going to be a socialist if you're a Democrat? It's an oxymoron. But this is what these are the people that I'm talking about. These are the people that we need to roll up the windows on, close the doors, just throw a peace sign up and walk away from. That and MLK's was killed 50 years ago. This week, listen to him. The most dangerous folks to black people are the white moderate. So we have to stick with that extreme reality and work towards it.
Yeah, go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
Well, I think this whole scenario, again, just reminds me of Noam Chomsky and manufacturing consent. Like he said, people believe that they live in a vibrant democracy. And that's because there is debate allowed that is very loud and very extreme on both sides of it, but it's a very narrow spectrum for subjects that this is allowed to happen on. And these debates that are so loud and so dirty and never seem to end, the arguments really are not big deals. They're not going to change the course of the country. or the economy or anything else. They're these stupid social, religious, economic questions that have nothing to do with reality, but yet they just don't go away. They're always there. And people just think, well, you know, like you said, Nolan, left, right, Republican, Democrat, everybody wears their team logo, and then they're put onto the playing field.
Yeah, I agree with Nolan in a way. What you said is right, Glenn. The other thing is, I know these marches are really commercialized and they suck, some of them. But I think that the average person doesn't know that, and they're just out there protesting, and maybe that can be infectious, and they can meet somebody like that's really out there that's like, hey, we could be shutting the whole city down if we did it. Putting it in their head like little seeds, and then from becoming these big protests, they'll start being out there more regularly for things that really, really, really matter. So I don't knock the whole people coming out. I knock the leadership of a lot of them. That's my problem. Like, I don't hate everybody that comes out for the Refuse Fascism protests. I just think their leadership is not as anti-fascist maybe as they would like you to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of legit folks at the. I'll still call it the March for White Lives because just the way it went down. But there were a lot of folks down there who were legit and know what needs to be done, and even said so. And you're right, Tim. The leadership oftentimes in those situations is the problem. And I know Women's March especially. I was in D.C. when that happened. The first round of them after Trump was elected, and I was told by a woman who went there, a friend of mine, and she said, the planning committee was just white as hell. They didn't listen to any people of color. Then people of color just walk. You're not going to listen to us. We're out. So that, and of course, that's how people like Gloria Steinem and Michael Moore were speakers there. That's why Native women were literally shoved aside by white women in pussy hats, and white women were wearing Washington Redstler apparel and disrupting and laughing at Native women in the prayer circles. So, leadership. I mean, look at the country. Leadership messes a lot of things up.
Yeah, it's the same thing with it's just like a lot of the people, I'd rather people be out in the streets doing something than nothing, because like I said, it might get contagious and you might have them just showing up when it's not a celebrity sponsored,
I think to
police condone permitted event.
To a point, because, and this is why, and my Twitter name is Nolan the Angry Negro because I'm called it so much, so I figure I might as well own it. But this is why I get so angry at marches like that and causes like that, because they keep happening. Those are the ones that get the most press. And what ends up coming out of it is the problems that white folks are pushing against in these movement and marches. That's what gets attention. When and John Lewis happens to be black, but when John Lewis led what I call the All Lives Matter sit-in in Congress a year or so ago to protest white-on-white gun violence, and they had a sit-in for like 2 days, and it was big news. Yeah, and meanwhile we're getting killed by police and white supremacists every 5 minutes. No one is going to talk about that. What about all the missing and murdered Indigenous women? What about the 60,000 missing or dead black women in the United States? But what about the all the native kids kidnapped and sold to white families. I mean, none of that is the only. It's like the opioid thing with Trump and Conway. Oh, it's hurting white people, so we have to care about it. What about the crack that you forced down our throats and taught us how to make and how to sell? What about that? No?
And then in prison for it, people for it. Like, here's a bunch of crack. Sell it amongst yourselves, and now we're going to lock you up for it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But wow. So yeah, I guess, do you have something to say? Anyone else before we move on? Because of time constraints.
Well, on the let me go on the next. I think we've done 2 out of the 3.
No,
so
we've done
3 out of 4. Sorry, topics.
Yeah, we're moving right along.
Yeah, I definitely would like to talk about the next topic.
But I think Glenn, did you or Steve? Someone was going to say something about the marches or whatever. I think.
No, not me.
Is Steve still in here?
I don't think.
No,
there he is.
We have David Hogue on the line. Let's hear from this young whippersnapper. No, kidding.
Not David Dennison. That's my favorite president of all time, David Dennison.
Carl Tuckerson, a.k.a.
No, David Dennison. That's Trump's fake name.
I know, but that was. I was just naming another name you like to say.
Carl Tuckerson, the Nazi-loving weirdo.
Yeah. Who was on Dancing with the Stars, by the way? Mainstream. He's okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
White supremacy is mainstream. Always has been in the United States.
We need to make a video out of that.
Yeah, we do. We really do. There are some fun pictures too. So someone needs to get on that. It's just not going to be one of us.
So,
but the next topic. Your show, Tim. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not my show. It's everyone's show. You can go ahead if you want, Nolan.
All right. Well, we have. Basically, I guess we can call this the continued violence against people of color and children of color. Dorian Harris was a black child killed by a white store clerk. Adam Porbear was a Native man killed by police in South Dakota. And it's barely gotten any coverage. I've been able to find one news headline, and it didn't even mention his name, yet the FBI were involved. FBI was mentioned, but not Adam Porbear, who was killed. And then Shahid Vasil, killed by the New York Police Department. And we could round off name after name within the last couple days or weeks, months, years, whatever. But we want to bring up these 3. This is, like I was saying before, and I'm reading Tim's description of the topic that he sends to all the co-hosts every week. People are dying in the streets. Why isn't this considered a daily major problem? Why aren't there people in the streets across the country demanding disarmament of the police, especially since police kill more American citizens yearly than any mass shooters or terrorist organization? I've added that no one seemingly talks about the fact that Native people whose land this is still are killed by police at a higher rate than anybody else in the country. That includes my folks, black folks, and were killed a lot by the police. So that's topic number 4 for April 6th on the People's Weekly.
Who's beating on a keyboard? Stop it! Your computer can't handle anymore.
I was doing that thing, anchors till, and let's go. Here's the topic of the table. Talk about it.
Now it's sports.
I don't think that translates to radio.
Yeah. That's a good point.
No. I just thought someone was typing really fast, but now I get it.
No,
So yeah,
I need I should get like 10 papers, put them together, and beat pound them on the desk like they do.
yeah, so audience listening,
Like
just
Alex Jones does.
Oh gosh, and then throw them and eat them.
yeah.
Have you seen the Gay Frogs remix?
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I will share that link with you after the show. It's awesome.
That will be an experience. I'm looking forward to it.
They remixed it because the Gay Frogs weren't great enough by themselves to begin with. They needed a remix. Wow. So yeah, these you know, when they talk about gun control, they're not talking about disarming the police, disarming the military. That's something that's going to be harder. But you know, disarming the police is going to be hard enough. You want to disarm the people. I think the police should not be militarized. You know, to all the people at these protests, the nice, you know, gun violence, anti-gun violence protests and whatever, women's march. Eventually, if you keep going out there, you're going to get beaten, you're going to get gassed, you're going to get run over with bicycles for doing some righteous stuff. You might get kidnapped and put in jail. You might have all kinds of things happen to you. You might even get killed. You might get shot with tear gas canisters purposefully aimed at you. You might have flashbangs thrown at you.
Well, you just had
these people, these people
Black
who
Lives Matter activist killed. Mohidi, forgive me if I botched the first name. Mahidin Moi is killed very recently.
Yeah,
within the last month, I think it was a month or two. But yeah, and that's been happening for a long time. I mean, we were talking about Martin Luther King this week. I mean, his friend and photographer, who's black, was an FBI informant. Of course, the FBI told Martin Luther King to kill himself. Robert Kennedy was the one who authorized the wiretapping all of his phones, you know, whether he's in his house or on the road. And of course, FBI killed him along with so many others. So there's so many layers to this in terms of why it's not considered a mainstream problem. Because there's the amount of silence from white folks, the amount of propaganda, like we were talking about, Sinclair media, for years and years, hundreds of years. And then you look at even within people of color, and I see it all the time. And I'm not going to blame any black person for talking about a black life that was killed, but then it gets to the point where, okay, when we're talking about like the government is just all over black people and black people. Yeah, they are, but don't forget there's another side of that coin, and there's the other side of that coin. This land is theirs, and their population has been cut down. What was it, 95, 96% over the last 500 years, and they're still targeted by the slave patrols, the quote-unquote Indian patrols that now we call police more than anybody. And we think, whatever color you are, we think that Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin restarted this like it was dormant. It wasn't a problem for years and years and years. Like after Martin Luther King was killed, everything's okay.
Hey Nolan, I just looked this up. What we were talking about earlier. Trip on this, like you just said, Trayvon Martin and what's his kid? This other cat, Harris.
Jordan Harris.
Yeah, he was shot by a store owner, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, in March 16th, 1991, this young girl, Latasha Harlins.
Mm-hmm.
She was age 15 at the time. She went into the store. She was, I think she was trying to steal an orange juice. The store clerk grabbed her by the arm, so she hit her. You know, she's a young girl. She's not, it wasn't like she was beating her. She was trying to sock her to get away with her orange juice she wanted to steal. So the store clerk pulled a gun and shot her in the face, dead. It was on camera. And this was March 16th, 1991. So a year later, when the Rodney King verdict came in, this was probably one of the reasons that led to the uprising in 92 in LA here. It was all this stuff building up, you know what I mean? Because the store clerk, I think she got probation for this and some community service time for murdering a little girl. And this is what we were talking about earlier, was that people are saying racism started with Obama again because the white people couldn't deal with having a black president. And some people say, no. Racism started when Trump came in because it emboldened them to just come out and do whatever. No. What we said earlier is legit, that the people here didn't hear. Racism has not changed. It's always been here. It's been the same because this girl was getting talked about like a dog on the media. Like, she deserved it. She was stealing. She deserved it. You can't be stealing. All the same racist stuff these people spew online. The difference is, sorry, there was no social media at the time.
There weren't camera phones.
You didn't have everybody's opinion of it 24/7 a day. That's the only difference, man. You got all these, it's the same racist scum out there. It's just now they all have a voice.
Well, I really don't think that there's been much difference in the way the good and evil in domestic America has been portrayed for decades. If you want to go back to all the movies about Chicago and Prohibition, good guys, bad guys. But usually, even in those movies, they have these gigantic gunfights, but it was, like at a warehouse or something. The only people who got killed were the criminals and the cops. You go back to movies of the Wild West, gunfight at OK Corral, good guys, bad guys. But of all the legendary Westerns, when a guy was killing other people that were unarmed, that was it. Everybody went after that dude, and they were all armed when they did it. That was called justice. So how did we get to the point we're at now, where cops are killing unarmed people almost at will? What the fuck happened?
They've always been able to do it. It's just bring back to our attention now, and they're doing it more frequently because they have bigger, badder weapons, and more cops, more people.
I'm talking about the public mindset. When people think about the Old West, it was crazy. You could get killed every day, but if you didn't carry a gun, you were supposed to be out of the game. That doesn't exist now.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the thing I don't understand. And then they want to talk about the relevance of the Second Amendment when it was written to today. And just look at the change in societal value in 30, 40 years.
Saeed Vissa was shot for a showerhead, I believe.
Showerhead.
Yep.
They didn't know it was a gun. They carry guns every day.
In their open hand.
This is a whole nother subject. I was reading an article saying, I don't know if it was letting the police off or not, but it was blaming gentrification for his death. It said the whole neighborhood knew him, and they knew he had some issues, but he was loved by everyone there, and he was a well-known community member, that everybody wasn't a threat or anything, and they knew he'd do weird things sometimes, or what was considered weird to others. And then the neighborhood supposedly got gentrified. A bunch of richer, upper class white people moved in, and they started calling the police on him, and that's what changed, supposedly. But the problem is still with the police to come out and shoot a dude holding a shower head. They shoot a dude holding a wallet they asked them to give them. They shoot a dude in his backyard holding a phone. They shoot a dude, with whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does not make a difference if the skin is not white, and especially if it's black or quote unquote red. That's what matters the most.
They shot a dude for touching his hat the wrong way. They shot a dude for what did he do? He pulled up his pants, laying on the ground with his arms out for 30 minutes. They don't care. They don't care because they know they're going to get off every time.
Well, yeah, and that's the fact. They are going to get off every time, and I think more than anything, I've always said this is a very complicated issue with a lot of different angles, but I think the biggest angle is accountability. I mean, you have a lack of accountability, and like I think I said this last week, if
it's like it happens every day, so it comes up almost weekly, and that sucks.
Yeah, well, people, if you allow people to cut corners on a job and do it the easy way at the expense of doing the job right, they generally will. And, in law enforcement, that's really problematic because people are cutting corners in a job where they're carrying guns. Never has accountability for cutting corners in a job and doing a job the easy way, even if it's the wrong way, never has accountability for that kind of thing been more important. And it's just ridiculous that is the least accountable job in this country.
Well, okay, that is. I think on the surface that's correct, but I think what gets lost is they are doing their jobs. The multiple cops have been fired for not killing a person of color.
Hey, real quick. No, he won.
That's actually true.
He won the civil case like a day or two ago about that. Like he was fired. He lost his job for not killing the dude. But the case, it was like a year or two ago, and the case just went through like last week or a couple of days ago. And I was reading, he did win the civil case. The cop that got fired for not killing the dude is getting paid for wrongful termination and all that.
That's
Good.
why these cop departments, police departments, have funds that they put out just for civil suits. I mean, Tim, you said it earlier. They're terrorists. It's like one big terrorist organization as a tree, and then branches, coming down the tree. L.A.
Cells in every
NYPD.
city of every state.
Yeah, well, that was 99%. Police departments have more white cops and I forget the stat number. I'll get the stat in a minute. Go ahead, Steve.
No. I think you're about to say something very important. I want to hear that.
He has to look up the stats.
I'll find it and I'll say something else. But the one thing I definitely wanted to say today was I try not to get angry about this because black folks, we're dealing with so much. We have so much to deal with in our own lives, whether it's about the system beating down on us or not. But we fall victim to it and take the bait. For some reason, and this happens every month. Whenever the famous black person was killed this month, Stephon Clark is like the most important black person who was killed, like ever. That's what. And look, I don't even know Stephon. I've never met him. I love the man. I hope he's happy in the next life, and he should still be living. I support his family. I support the people of Sacramento, brothers and sisters in Sacramento. My only point is, it's like he's the only black guy, a black person of color who has been killed by the cops recently. When this happens. Every single day.
There it is in stereo for you.
Forebear is a perfect example. One, he's native, so no one's going to give a damn. And then two, he's dead. He's dead. And we're looking around people, his family in South Dakota. His family was threatened by the cops when they tried to walk up to at him as he was laying on the ground dying, and the cops pushed him back. Said, "If you come any closer, we're going to arrest you." And they're like, "He's dying. I want to see my son. I want to see my nephew." Say, "No, we're going to arrest you." And then go back. So this happens every single day. Dorian Harris, whether it's by police, whether it's by racism or structures, even black on black crime which are invented and maintained by the government, but we completely get caught up in not being able to multitask and taking the bait and accepting what we're given. It is unfair. I will say this. It's very unfair. My late father taught me this, and he was absolutely right. We have to do more. And when he said that, he's talking about black people. He said talking to me, we have to do more. We have to be better if we want to succeed and survive. So in order for this subject, in order for us to honor as many people as we can who are taken from us, and on that route, go after this system, we have to rise above, because the media is not going to do it. White America is not going to do it. They've never done it. So we have to go dig deep into the internet, dig deep into our contacts if we're in the movement, and find, oh, wait, so he was killed, and when was he killed, and how, as depressing as it is, but we have to do that extra work. But I just wanted to say that because we need to understand that there are more victims than just the black person who hit the murdered lottery. It's like, oh, okay, he's the one we're going to talk about. The news, and that's the person killed by the police who we're going to talk about. And what's really odd to me is it's like, since Trayvon, when a white civilian kills a black person, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't get any coverage.
It was way before him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like when the civil rights movement got re-energized because of Michael Brown and because of Trayvon Martin, we looked at Trayvon Martin like, oh my gosh, like white people are still killing us, right? Okay, but then since then, we only look at when we get killed. We only look at it when it's a cop killing us. Even though white supremacists kill us all the time, white people kill us all the time. Malcolm Evans was going to school back east. Great student, good person. He donated organs after he was killed. This white woman killed him. Just murdered him. That was about 2 years ago. It was not on the news.
What happened to her?
She was charged with murder. I've been too afraid to check to see if she got convicted or not.
But see here,
Dorian Harris.
I was gonna say the different. It's the same thing like when they say, "Oh, well, black people kill black people all the time, or gangs and this and that." It's the same exact thing with white people killing black people that are not cops. They stand to risk. It sucks, and sometimes the juries suck and get them off a lot more often. But with a cop, they always get off. Civilian, a white person might have more of a chance in a lot of areas in the country, and a black person will have a lot less of a chance in a lot of areas of the country of getting off. But the cop will get. I mean, if I had the cop's odds of getting off on a lottery, I'd be a billionaire right now. I'd play it all day.
Of course. The stat I was going to bring up is 99% of U.S. police departments arrest more black people than white people. Black people are only 14% of the American population.
You know where them 1% of departments are? Are they in predominantly white neighborhoods?
That I don't know.
Oh, because that would explain.
I'll dig deeper into where that 1% is.
Because it might be like havens where black people should think about moving to.
But then they attack that place, like Black Wall Street or Central Park, Florida Central Park, or Philadelphia, et cetera, et cetera.
Like the safest cities in America for black people.
there is one. It's like,
geez. Smiling chief of police with a thumbs up.
Oh gosh, you run away. Like, no, don't go over there. It's a trap. Give me a break. But this has been happening since technically 1444 when we were first enslaved. But this has been happening in this country since 1776. I mean, I have a thread on Twitter, and it lists black and native people killed in this country by racist or racist cops. I'd like to read a few if that's okay. In 1999, Antonio Butler was only 19 when he was shot dead by Miami police sergeant. Antonio was unarmed. Timothy Thomas was 19 with 9 police officers pursued him for parking tickets. Just think about that for a second. 19-year-old parking tickets took. Apparently, that needs the attention of 9 police officers.
Hey, it was over $300, man.
Stephen Roach shot and killed him. Roach lied on the police report. That was 2001. Joe Stuntz was killed. He was 23, killed by the FBI in 1975 during the defense of the Pine Ridge Reservation. This goes back to Leonard Peltier. His murder was never investigated. Prince Jones, 25, was killed when cops fired 15 shots at him on September 1st, 2000.
I remember that one.
And it was a mistaken identity. And cops refused to file charges against his killer. I'll read a couple more. And this one's ironic and depressing. Octavius Cato was an activist, black activist. He went to cast his ballot and vote 1 year after the 15th Amendment was passed in 1871. He was shot and killed on the way home in Philadelphia.
By police?
But not by police.
Oh,
Just regular, everyday snow demons. And one more. Gregory Sevier was shot 6 times and killed by cops in his home in 1991 in Kansas. Gregory was native. His family was paid settlements. Been happening a long, long time.
Yeah. There's nothing, like I said, it's just the social media and the cameras everybody has now. If they had that back then, you'd be seeing pretty much the same thing. It's just population growth, more guns, more cops, more militarization means more people dying. They could do it faster and easier now. I think some of you guys might have seen someone put a video. Some white guy got tased, beat the cop up, chased the cop down, grabbed a police car, switched into his car, smashed into the police car, and they refused to shoot him no matter what he did.
Yeah.
We were talking about mental illness earlier. Here's a mental illness that is really big in America, is that we have to have this talk because people don't see that this is going on. People don't fucking get it. I mean, how in the hell, even with all the propaganda thrown at us from the TV and shit, why the hell are people convinced this is not happening?
Well, because they don't want to believe.
Well,
if they get in their mind and accept that it's happening, then they actually have to change. Then they actually have to go, wait a minute. This system is toxic. All these things that I enjoy, I may not be able to enjoy anymore. All the leg ups I get, I won't have anymore if this system goes, if this country goes. They do, and then of course there's the white guilt thing. There's so much stuff to take out of your own person to admit what white folks have done to us for so long and still do. And then there's 2 sides to that. There's white folks always like say, well, it's in the past. It's in the past. Like, well, actually, 1, no, it's not, and 2, you haven't apologized or compensated us for the past. But then, okay, yeah, you have slavery, Jim Crow, all that stuff in the past, the making of the reservations, Trail of Tears, all that. And now you have, reservations are still here. The ghettos are still here. You're still killing us. You're still raping us. You're still stealing our children, killing our children, etc. That's a lot to unpack. I mean, as a man, and I always use the parallel to compare it to men. Men are the same way. We do not want to admit what we do to women, what we have done to women, what structure we have put over women, the patriarchy, rape culture. We don't want to admit that, because if we admit that, then we have to, oh man, we got to level the playing field. We won't get the same advantages that we've gotten.
Why does that matter if everyone gets the same advantages? I don't understand that. I think just living
because people are greedy. People, if you enjoy something, right or wrong, if you're comfortable with it, and that white comfort goes a long way. If you're comfortable with something, you don't want to change. You know, people say that people don't like change. They don't. You know, they'd have to change their ways. They'd have to live in a new society. Things would be different. That's why they hate Trump so much. They don't hate Trump because so much that he's a racist. It's because of what kind of racist he is. He's a slob. He's uncouth. I mean, he's making America look very stupid. And that it does not make folks look good. That does not make Americans look good. Does not make white folks look good.
Yeah, well, I think there's no way anyone can live in this country more than maybe a decade or two without having some kind of mental illness. Whether you're diagnosed or even know it or not, it's just the whole system is sickening. And if you can accept that, then something's wrong with us all. You know, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You could make an argument that racism is a mental illness. Because the inverse of that, the intergenerational trauma, which is caused by racism, is a mental illness. I have it. Every black and Native person in this country has.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, but just the whole system is so set up, and people accept it.
Mm-hmm.
People go to work and make nothing and struggle to survive. They let the police pull them over and fine them a bunch of money for stupid things. They let people start wars with their tax dollars. That stuff. Even if you support it if you support it, that's a mental illness. If you don't support it, it's a mental illness because it's going on, and you have to be a witness to it. It's not like I think it's just like a base something. It's like a sickness planted in us all just for being born here and what is the word I'm looking for? You know, educated here, colonized here. Propagandized here. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like we've been fed all this crap, and it's not healthy, and it takes its toll on you whether you know it or not. And then there's other mental illnesses that diagnose, and I think a lot of those come from the same roots of this base sickness. I don't know. I know we got to wrap it up, so everyone should get their last little stuff in.
I don't know. I've kind of run out of steam.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Well, I'll close out by
Take us out.
I'll take us out. And I showed you guys this tweet, putting it to your handles. 1967, black girl Tanya Blanding was 4 years old when she was killed by ammunition from a National Guard tank that was outside of her house in Michigan.
Why was the tank outside
We
the house?
got to stop it because they're not going to stop. If we don't stop it, it's not going to stop.
Yeah. You know,
That is very true.
Just real quick, quite a few years back, but I know they've done this in Riverside.
I guess I'll say have a wonderful weekend, regardless of what is going on and what has been going on in the Western world. And I wish everybody peace and love and happiness.
And so, I wanted to get my Don Cornelius on. Cool. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you here next week. Same time,
Absolutely.
same place, same everything.